be kind, see them for who they are, see what they are trying to tell you, meet them, listen to them, don't wait for your time to speak, listen to them, and then respond to them. But also, try to meet in the middle. Don't take no for an answer, not in this case. Oh, thank you very much for the warm applause. I'm very happy to be here. I'm also a bit nervous now, so bear with me if I turn into a German-speaking activist. But no, I try in English. Today I'm going to talk about how to enter slaughterhouses and film on the kill floor around the world and the different impacts it can entail. And with further ado, let me get this machinery. We'll have a quick look at what is about to come. We'll look at the successes of animal rights activism in the past. We'll look at privilege. And then we have 3 parts of the presentation. So first, I'll give you a little toolkit that I will explain to you in detail in a few minutes. My successes and how I got there. So a little bit of advice on my side. If you want to take it, feel free. Then in a second part, I want to talk about the impacts. And I know and see so many activists who either with me or on their own, of course, have done similar things. And I want to talk a little bit about the impacts of that kind of work, the pros and cons to some degree. And I also want to focus on the criticism and give a bit of a response to that. And then I want to end off in part 3 with a positive approach and hopefully some inspiring words for us all that I need to hear and maybe you need to hear too. Alrighty. So I want to kick it off with some of my successes in animal rights, in my animal rights work. Of course, if I want to give you advice, I should say why you should even attempt to listen a little bit. So first of all, I want to mention that I was allowed to bear witness inside the slaughterhouse. I was allowed to spend time with the animals for several hours before they got killed, film everything or being filmed. So that's a great success that I've experienced throughout the years. Secondly, I was able to help animal rescue through negotiating in front of slaughterhouses, and I want to share what was my experience and what helped me at least doing that. And finally, I want to refer to the fact that I was allowed many, many times to film on the kill floor every part of the killing process, that's what I want to share with you today. So today, I want to share with you what has worked for me, and my hope is that you can take some of it, if you like, and use it for your own advocacy. And if anything, maybe it's interesting to you, but I hope you can take something from it. And it's a small toolkit, and I will show you in a second, but I will show you a bit of a mindset that has helped me. It's not so much like a trick here and like this you have to do. It's more like a mindset that I want to introduce to you and share with you because it has worked and I think there's value to it. But first, let's talk privilege. I think it would be completely ignorant and foolish of me not to reflect on my own privilege and also mention it to you, because privilege brings advantages, and it's important to when I give this presentation telling you you should do this and you could do that and then maybe you can achieve this, it would be silly not to refer to the fact that some things might be not applicable for you, and let's not ignore that fact. So I want to acknowledge that I'm privileged in the sense that I'm a female, a white female, cisgendered, able-bodied woman, and that I was privileged to be born in Europe in a democratic country. I was able to get high education. I was able to learn different languages, which helped doing activism. And first and foremost, I had kind parents who fostered a sense of compassion and helped me to explore and express it in many ways. And yeah, I just want to appreciate that and acknowledge that not everyone has had those opportunities. And I think in these days, and we are so aware of that. Of course, there are some disadvantages of my social identity, which is the way I'm seen, perceived by society, and also treated by society. But this is not the talk for that, but I'm sure many people will already have an idea what I'm referring to. But of course, now we want to talk about the advantages it brought me. And finally, I also want to address that next to privilege and to talents and talents, I think, there's also luck that can play a role. And so I don't want to be ignorant towards the fact that a lot of luck has helped me too, right? So just to briefly mention, like before I dived into activism, I broke my arm through a sports accident. I couldn't do my work, so I was free, I had the time, I had the means, so I just was allowed to dive in. And there was luck involved because I had this horrible accident that turned out to be a great gift in retrospect. But now let's look into this toolkit that I came up with, and let's see if it resonates with you to some degree. We have a few tools, so let's check them out. First of all, the person-focused connection that I'm referring to. So the core idea of that concept is to see and understand people beyond their roles and professions, but to see them for the individuals they are and their character, and also not see the attributes or the roles or the social role they might have. And what I want to emphasize on and suggest is that we try to build genuine relationships with people in the industry, which means to meet people in a very polite and kind way, in a respectful way, if possible for you, and in a very authentic way, because you can't do it when you kind of have to fake it or force it. Because then there's another type of activism that you're more suited to, but then you shouldn't do the negotiating part, or you shouldn't try to be allowed to do something. We can also always try to sneak in at night, right? So I think it's really important to try to see slaughterhouse workers or slaughterhouse owners or drivers of animal trucks beyond their role that they have, but see them for individuals as well. And I want to give you some practical tips, because I know that for some people that's a foreign concept and it's very far away, right? It's like they are harming the ones we care most about. So how can we feel even empathy for them or respect even? And I want to introduce something. It's a little tick of mine, at least in Germany we say tick. And I warn you, because you might fall in love several times a day. What I do is I meet someone and I try to see what a loved one of that person would cherish in them. So I look for the things that they would love about them, whether it being like little quirks or the way they speak or the way their hair grows or what have you, like little things that we cherish about our loved ones. So I try to focus on that. It's a little trick of mine. It works. For me, it works. But if you don't want to take my advice, let me introduce Mr. Dalai Lama. Because he gave a presentation, I was lucky to once listen to it in a big setting in the arena. And he said back then, if you ever find yourself struggling with connecting to people and you feel like alone, or you feel like, what idiots around me? I think that's me paraphrasing what he said. I think he wasn't referring to idiots. But if you have difficulties connecting to people, one thing you can do is think of the most basic things you have in common with them and go from there. So for example, meeting a slaughterhouse owner, I can acknowledge that he was born into this world too, same as I did. And then if I look around the room and I see some family portraits, I can notice that this is a family person too. Or it might be another woman. And I can imagine that this woman might have similar struggles that I have as a woman in this society. So we can go from there. So it's just some little tips and tricks to find empathy in your heart and seeing people beyond not only their roles but also their actions, because they do the killing, right? Lovely persistence. Man, I love this concept. It's so easy. It just means be lovely yet persistent. Like do your little, be kind, but also try to get where you want to get. Show initiative. That's so important. And I don't want to go into the very detail because people often ask me, so how did you specifically get into it's another conversation. I'm happy to share with you. Today I want to be more theoretical about it. I think it will help the explanation a bit more. So To show initiative means to take action, to be bold, to face your fears, to show up, and to stay faithful and positive, especially when you receive like negative feedback, when you receive no's, when you have setbacks. What I found most value in was to remain faithful and keep showing up. And I literally showed up. The slaughterhouse owner wouldn't respond to my emails, to my many emails. He wouldn't respond to my phone calls. But then I showed up at 3 o'clock in the night because I knew that that was the time when the animals arrived. And I said, like, I'm in my car in front of you. Do you mind meeting me? I'm the one with the emails and the phone calls. And he couldn't say no to that. And so I want to say that you can be persistent and you can keep going if you keep your goal in mind, right? And only in this setting, I would say, don't take no for an answer. Otherwise, please respect the no's. They're important. But in this setting, not so much. I've been told no so many times, but again, be kind. See them for who they are. See what they are trying to tell you. Meet them. Listen to them. Don't wait for your time to speak. Listen to them and then respond to them. But also, try to meet in the middle. Don't take no for an answer. Not in this case. Otherwise, yes. Let's not forget. Okay, how-to tool. The pistol effect. It's just a catchy concept I came up with. It's a stupid title. But bear with me. It involves some science. So psychological studies suggest that showing human animals together with suffering animals helps people not only connect to the animal, but it helps them watch the video longer, or even watch to begin with. Look at it. So there is scientific evidence that showing a human animal caring for an animal and being in the frame with them can really help the cause. Let me just get on my notes here because where's the pistol? Here it is. And the tactic is to, oh, hang on, I haven't explained it. What was I thinking? So I'm referring to something which is, maybe you've heard of this too, when there is someone doing harm, like a mass shooting, let's say. The studies suggest that if you try to humanize yourself, if you try to make that person form a connection to you, they will do less harm to you, or the likelihood of them doing harm to you is way less. It's a weird concept I just heard, but then I started applying it in activism, although no one was holding a pistol at me, luckily. But I started using that, and I started to share a lot about myself, just to humanize myself, to make myself familiar to them, to almost make them feel like they already know me. And for me, it really worked. And in theory, it sounds maybe a bit weird. Practically, it's also a bit weird, because you see me talk a lot like, oh, you know, I traveled like 3 days to get here, and mind you, my grandma is waiting for me to come back. However, I really want to rescue an animal, and it would mean so much. And you know what? My grandma, by the way, let me tell you, I just talk and talk and talk. And they either might feel a bit sorry for me because I come off distressed, or they think, she's not so bad. Like, she's not so bad. She's not my enemy. And that's where we're aiming for. That's where we're going to. So I applied this in activism, and for me it works. To create the emotional connection to people and then get favors, to even get special treatment. And I am talking about life and death here. This approach helped me to rescue many animals, many chickens, because chicken rescue is the easiest when you're in front of a slaughterhouse. They're easy to carry, and for several reasons, it's one of the easier rescues. But it really helped me, so maybe bear it in mind. It's a stupid concept, it's just a catchy name, but the idea is to connect with people and do it authentically as you can. I mean, I can be chatty, as you can tell maybe, but sharing about yourself, it can really help. Worked for me. Okay, the gift of kindness. This is also a beautiful concept I came up with, but I do have my notes not in order. But that's okay, because I have this beautiful presentation over here. I already mentioned it. Make them your ally. Let's not have them see you as their enemy. and encourage them to want to help you. And that's one of the tools that I think has helped me most, is to really ask for help, to reach out to people. Because in my experience, and I know I'm a bit of a hippie and I might likely see it that way, but in my experience, people want to help. People want to do good. And people in the industry, and I've met so many, so let me tell you, they are not all hating on animals or abusing animals beyond the murdering. And I know that that sounds off. But they might even feel for animals, care for animals, have a companion animal at home. So it's not that black and white. It's not that easy. They are not just abusers and we can hate on them and they will never understand where we come from. They do understand where we come from. And some of them want to help. Some of them don't like knowing what they are doing or being perceived in a certain way. And they want to be part of the liberation. So make them be part of the liberation. Make them be part of something meaningful in their life as well. It's not just about you and trying to save animals. It's also about inviting them to give you the gift of kindness, to give you whatever you need. So communicate with them openly. I need your help. You can do this and that, and it will help the cause tremendously, what have you. So in general, it is just about giving someone the opportunity to do good. And I think once we do that, once we extend that gift, people want to do it. People want to join in. Okay, second part, positive impacts, general impacts of doing this kind of work, filming on the kill floor. Sharing the stories of those individuals that we've met in those horrible places can heal the heart to some degree. It can make the suffering you have witnessed as an activist more bearable, at least. So that's good, that's positive. You inspire change. People will reach out to you, and I know many of you who have received feedback in some way or shape or form, saying that, oh, now I turned vegan, or you opened my eyes with this or with that. So you receive that positive feedback, and not focusing on ego now, but it just fuels your activism because you see it's worth it. The crying, the agony of witnessing all of that, it makes sense because it works. At least you reach people, you do something. Which goes into saying you contribute to animal liberation, literally, and you help others. And they will maybe be amazing game players in our movement. So you never know who you're going to inspire. And that's really valuable, I think. So there are some positive impacts. But of course, there are negative impacts. And I know that you know what I'm talking about because I know we are in this together and we feel the same way. There are emotional scars that people can't even begin to imagine. Once you witness murder, once you witness slavery so up close, it's hard to go back into a society that is carnist and not vegan yet. It's almost sometimes undoable. I know I suffer from it deeply. So that's, to begin with, really hard. But then facing hate from both carnists and vegans for the work you do is even harder. And I can only invite you to find your strengths and just be as much as you can prepared for what can come. And I know David is in the room, he knows what I'm talking about, and some others who do that kind of work, they know. But I want to say what Sepp, my friend, said once. He said, Lena, if you're not getting criticized for your animal rights work, you're doing something wrong. Oh, that was a relief. I was really upset back then. So that helped me. And I think he's right. I want to share it with you and tell you if you need to hear it too. Oh, should have probably done a warning. So I think it's not all too graphic, but maybe that's just me. There's just some impressions of being inside a slaughterhouse. It's connecting to animals, being there, seeing them, loving them, supporting them, and letting them die. Letting them get killed. And I've prepared a video, but through the technical issues, I won't show it, and it's okay, because I was debating, should I show it, shouldn't I show it? It's really powerful, but I won't show it. So for some of you, you might feel like, oh, at least no more suffering, we have seen enough. But yeah, in this case, I won't show it. But I wanted to, maybe I say that, I wanted to even maybe make you feel a bit of criticism for my work, just so we can have a better discussion about this topic. So I was wondering, like, if I show that certain footage, which was, I can talk about it at least, I don't have to show it, which was bearing witness to this beautiful calf inside a slaughterhouse, in a halal slaughterhouse. Halal slaughter is awful. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, but I know I'm talking, preaching to the choir here. And I was being with her and trying to distract her from another animal being killed right next to her. And then she was next, but I was allowed to stay with her. So her throat was slit, and I was petting her, and that's the video. And then she was, her blood was just hitting me, and I was all over with her blood, and she was like, couldn't breathe, and like the sounds and the agony and the movements, it was horrible. And that's the last picture when she's already dead. And only when she was dead, I felt okay leaving. Okay, so maybe I have, just through these words, provoked a bit of criticism on your part. Maybe you think, like, how dare she? Maybe not, I don't know. But let's go into it and let's discuss this topic. I will not show the video. Common criticism. How can you just sit there? I would have saved the animals instead of watching them get killed. I can't tell you how frustrating it is to hear. Fuck me. But okay. Let's stay love-based and respond. So first of all, getting inside. Man, it took efforts, strategy, a lot of time to get into those very situations. With all due respect, I don't think you would have gotten yourself into that situation to begin with. And if you do, you go and do it. You do it better than me. I'm happy for the animals. You go and do it. And I know I'm a bit spicy here, but let me be spicy for a moment. And I'm not addressing you guys. Of course not. Maybe though, if you feel that way. And also, saving the animals. Like, how exactly would you have saved the animals? How would you have carried out a heavy cow, a heavy pig, with people around you holding knives and chainsaws, ready to commit murder to an innocent being? How would you have taken the animal and liberated it? In what scenario? And I'm aware that people who give that criticism just aren't aware. They haven't been inside a slaughterhouse. They haven't stepped foot inside a slaughterhouse, yet in a farm. Maybe some have, who knows? But it's so ignorant, in my opinion. It's not that easy. And also it bears the question, saving one animal versus the greater good, potentially. To save one animal, magically in your scenario where you could do that, versus going back there and show the industry and show the darkness and make videos and veganize people. It's up for debate, but I want to say that I think we have to think strategic, but that's for the next slide. Just a little to up my spice. The critics, I don't see them take action. They're really good in front of their computer. But I want to invite them to, of course, get active, and there's always a way of meeting, of course. But, you guys. Okay, conclusion. Let's think strategically. Animal liberation isn't always that immediate, that literal. Maybe you save more animals by showing the horrors of this industry. And believe me, for my well-being, it's not beneficial to not save animals and to go out afterwards and think, just saw a few animals die in front of me, no problem. It's not the situation, but let's think strategically. Let's think about our strengths. If you can deal with it, do it. If not, of course, do something different. And yeah, I want to encourage everyone. I want to encourage those critics, and I mean it. I know I can be spicy, and some of you sometimes think I can't be spicy, but I can be very spicy. But I want to invite, truthfully, and authentically, I want to invite everyone to do their best. And really, if you can do it better, I'm your biggest cheerleader, and I promise I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Like, let's come together, and if you know how to do it better, please show me, and I will adapt. Okay? But we'll talk about, in my opinion, the best way of criticizing or like talking to each other in a minute. Actually, let's move forward. Enough of the, oh no, it's not enough yet. Another common criticism that I want to talk about. You just want attention. How dare you be in front of the camera? Ugh. God, if I could do other things, I would do them. I would love to do other things. It's not fun. I don't feel like great about it. I get the shittiest criticism about watching a calf die and not helping her. Like, it's so fucked up for your vegan minds. It's so fucked up. Again, human presence in videos can increase viewer engagement. And you believe me, I'd rather just put the camera and film it and what have you. But I want to learn and listen to statistics. I want to be as strategic as I can for the animals. If it means I have to be there during the fucking slaughter, I'll be there. Sorry, I'm fucking emotional. And I think it's judgment and misinterpretation. Anyways, authentically... Thank you. Authentically, I want to say that if it's just me telling you, I can only speak for myself, but also for the people I work with closely. We don't seek attention. We want to help animals, and please be aware of it. Please know it. And if you think we could do it better, let's have a conversation about it. But we really don't need I don't believe in the heroism of activists. I'm not a hero, you're not a hero. No one is a hero but the animals. But, again, I want to support diverse approaches. I think it's super fair enough and amazing to only show animals and not show human animal in the same picture. You do you. No problem. Love it. The more approaches we have, the more people we can reach. There's no problem. Everyone can do what they can, right? A hopeful approach, compassion and support. Let's go back there. So after all that bickering, I want to say that I do understand the emotions, and I always want to point it out. I think it's super important to keep in mind. Of course, people are highly invested. Of course, people jump to quick ideas or interpretations, and they judge and they think badly because it's about life and death. We're not a sports club, right? It's not about winning or losing a game or what have you. We are here for animal liberation. So it's a highly important and close to our hearts issue we're dealing with. So, of course, we're going to be critical because every action affects animals, right? So I understand. So with all my spiciness that I let out a little bit because I feel safe with you, there is understanding on my part. But let's have compassion and benefit of doubt. And I really want to emphasize, let's at least foster benefit of doubt. You can have your idea, you can think a certain way, interpret a situation, but let's have benefit of doubt, and let's see, let's investigate, let's look into it, let's talk about it. I believe if you really think that someone's approach to saving animals or speaking on their behalf is harmful to animals or to the movement, that's a valid point. But I think we can discuss anything if we approach it with respect and kindness. So I think to meet people and talk to them directly and look for a conversation, but with an open heart and with an open mind, I think then we can work on anything, and we can stop the infighting, I believe. So constructive dialogue is something I really want to advocate for. So all that I mentioned before, I want for us to, as much as we can, trust and support each other. And who am I to say this? But I'm on stage, so I'm going to say it. Let's try to believe in the good of each other as well, within our movement. And I want to say that, of course, there are bad apples. But I think the percentage of people with selfish and bad intentions is rather small. And I've had my fair share meeting some, I believe. But it's a small percentage. So again, of course, look after yourself. Be mindful. Try to remain as safe as you can within our movement and anywhere else. But also believe in the good of people, right? Believe that others have the best of intentions too, and they are also giving their best, and they are also trying. We are all trying. It's a fucking hard job we are doing, right? So we are all trying. So I keep that in mind all the time. I want to share with you a little mantra I have, which is to shine my light. I use it daily. I use it everywhere, but especially in animal rights. When I enter a farm, when I enter a slaughterhouse, what have you, a demonstration, a protest, what have you, I think of shining my light. And you find your own mantra. I'm sure you already have one, but you can also steal mine if you want. I think it is such a beautiful thought to bring warmth and compassion anywhere you go. And I really want to invite each other, and I have to hear it too, to criticize each other less and support and uplift each other more. Despite our differences, despite our different approaches. Thank you. I'm almost done. It's really the end. And the more you shine your light, you help others shine their light because they reflect your light. And there can't be enough light. So there's also no jealousy. Like, we don't need to be jealous of each other. As long as we uplift each other, everyone shines bright, right? Like a diamond. Okay, I'll take 1 more minute. I want to do something with you, but feel free to not do it and just listen in. I want to do a little exercise with you. If you feel comfortable and safe, you can close your eyes. If it feels good to you, you can touch your heart. You don't have to, and also don't feel like I'm like, you do you. But I want to invite you to just take a moment for yourself. And I'm going to do it too, so I'm going to be vulnerable right here with you on stage. And I want to invite you to, this time, thank yourself for showing up, although it's so hard. Thank yourself for making it every day, for coming here, for doing what we can, for suffering with the animals. Thank you. Thank yourself. And now I want to invite you to expand that gratitude. And if it feels good, you can open your eyes if they were closed, and you can look around, and you can thank the people around you, maybe with words, maybe with a nod. And I want to thank you too for all you do, for being united, and for showing up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You have all my respect and gratitude, and I love you.
Thank you so much. I think a lot of you feel the same right now. So I was very emotional too. We are unfortunately out of time for questions, but I think as you mentioned before, it's okay when people come up to you, and I think this was a really, really beautiful ending for your presentation, and I want to thank you, and thank all of you for joining us and being here. Thank you.